Okay, John, this film is called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. What is the most gentlemanly thing you've ever done?
The most gentlemanly thing I've ever done. You don't make these easy.
Never do.
I once forced a duel for a woman's honour.
Oh, tell me more.
It didn't really happen.
Oh, well, that's a disappointment to me.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. Really, how hard could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, a podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels and spin-offs to one-off films that don't have any. I'm Harry and joining me as always is John.
Hello.
And this film is chosen by our great mates at Blokebusters podcast.
Yes, they suggested this one to us, and it is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. So John, what do you think of this film?
Well, I found this film, more than anything else, I found this film confusing. I watched it once, and it was kind of late at night, and I had a long day. Mm-hmm. And I got about halfway through, and I realised I had no idea what was going on. And I thought, I'm going to have to stop, because I'm not taking this in. Mm-hmm. I'm missing important plot points that are making it hard for me to appreciate anything about this film. So I stopped it about halfway through, came back to it a couple of nights later, earlier, refreshed, ready to watch it. Mm-hmm. And it turned out I was correct the first time. This film doesn't make any sense. Did you find this?
Yeah, I don't really know what was going on in this film, or what they're even trying to achieve in a film, really.
Did you know about this film beforehand? What did you know about this film before you watched it?
It had been on my list of films to watch, but not high up there. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've heard good things about it, but I've heard things about it.
Okay. From who and where and how?
From other podcasts talking about it. I think people were talking about Sean Connery's acting career and how this was the end of it, really.
Yeah, this is his last ever film.
Yeah. I think that there were a couple of films that he wanted to get in, but then didn't. He didn't think they were good. I forget the examples. I know this actually. I read this too. So Sean Connery turned down leading roles in The Lord of the Rings and The Matrix because both times he read the script and didn't understand them. Uh-huh. So he decided he didn't want to be in them. So because they both turned out to be huge hits, he then decided the next time he got a script that he didn't understand, he would take it. Mm-hmm. And this was his career. This was the film he got. Well, I think. Did he plan for this to be his last movie?
I think this movie put him off acting. I think he did this. I don't think he went into this film thinking this is my last time at the rodeo. But I think the fact that this film was not a pleasant experience for him or anyone involved, and then it kind of bombed and got terrible reviews. I think it just accelerated his retirement a little bit. Yeah. He definitely could have worked more, but I think after this he just couldn't be bothered. And I think even during this, watching his performance, you can kind of tell he couldn't really be bothered.
Yeah.
My name is Sanderson Reed. I'm a representative of Her Majesty's British government. The Empire needs you.
But the question is, do I need the Empire?
Perhaps I should toddle off, should I, Allan?
Yes, of course, Nigel. You toddle off.
Toddling.
Nigel is useful for keeping the story seekers at bay. I'm Quatermain.
We don't normally do this, but I actually want to try and walk through the plot a little bit because I did find it really hard to follow.
Go for it.
So I want to try and see if we had this.
You're not asking me to do it.
No. I'm going to try and walk through it and see if you have the same understanding. So the film opens, like you said, it gives the scroll. It's 1899, but it's an alternative version of the world. It's not the world we live in. It's kind of this steampunk reality. Mm-hmm. So we open with a tank attacking London, which. Nobody's ever seen a tank before. There's a guy who does the whole Austin Powers thing where the police officer tells the tank to stop and then doesn't get out of the way of the tank and then the tank rolls over and crushes him. Yeah. Very, very slowly. Yeah. Which made me laugh.
Me too. Yeah.
But then there's all these weird newspaper headlines where they think that the tank has come from Germany.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
How?
Were tensions with England and Germany just a bit off at that point?
Yeah, no, I could buy that, okay, because, World War I, World War II weren't far away. So, but more physically, how did the tank get from Germany to the middle of London without anyone seeing it?
Don't know.
Where did it come from? Where did it go?
Don't know.
One thing about this film that I really found was there was so much jumping around locations and there was no sense of space and time. There was no sense of how long anything took. I made a list. Actually, went back and made a list of all the places this film takes us.
Right, you've put a lot of work into this.
I did, because this film pulls really.
I've just shown up.
Well, that's fine. It's standard, really. So over the course of this film, these are the ones I caught. I've missed some. We go to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. They go to London, then Berlin, then Kenya, then London again, then Venice, then Mongolia, and then back to Kenya. All in the space of a weekend.
I guess.
Like, how long did it feel? It didn't feel like this film took place over a long period of time.
Remember, a lot of this is happening by sea, so when they go like London to Venice, that's not the most accessible.
No. Well, they do comment that Nemo's submarine is faster than anything ever seen before, but even so.
Yeah, so it can go like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, probably, yeah. So, yeah, we get this intro where the Phantom, which is a guy who is dressed as the Phantom of the Opera. Mm-hmm. So he's terrorizing. He robs a bank in London and he blows up a thing in Germany for reasons unclear. And then we then we get to Africa, to Kenya specifically, where a character who we never see again, who but also gets a lot of screen time in this one scene, is looking for Allan Quatermain, which is the Sean Connery character. So he's just kind of hanging out at this kind of white imperialism retirement facility. Like
Which made me feel super uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like him and a bunch of old white guys in hunting gear being served by like black guys in waiters' outfits.
Yeah.
It was really segregated.
Especially as Allan Quatermain then made that comment of something like, "Oh, I've got black friends too."
Oh god, yeah, that's him.
that made me feel just like, oh, that's not okay. That's not okay. And then this is the main good guy character for the whole film. Just oh.
Yeah, that's one of the lines of dialogue that I really picked up on as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many strange lines of dialogue, and that's one of it. I think what he says is, I'm going to do my Sean Connery now. I can't help it. I can't resist. I've lost many friends over the years, white and black.
But you're Allan Quatermain. Stories of your exploits have thrilled English boys for decades.
That I know, and Nigel has done a grand job reminding me. But with each past exploit, I've lost friends, white men and black, and much more. And I'm not the man I once was.
And then it never comes up again.
Nope.
Like
neither do any black people.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it's a weird line in any circumstance. But then maybe if he had like a black best friend or something, who then died, or it was something. But no, there are no like major black characters in this film. Everyone in this film who is a major character is white.
Captain Nemo was Indian.
Oh, fair enough. Captain Nemo was Indian. But yeah, it was a really odd line. Yeah. I don't know why he said it. Yeah. It really felt like.
Because it really just drew attention to it.
Yes,
it drew attention to the lack of any black people in this film.
Yeah, 100%, except for crazy witch doctors.
Yeah, which doesn't help.
No, yeah, they certainly let into that kind of magical Negro trope kind of thing. Right? So yeah, this undefined British character, he finds Sean Connery and kind of talks him into joining this team. And then, out of nowhere, they're attacked. Once again, a bunch of people with guns just appear, seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Do a whole shoot up.
Yeah.
The guy who knows who these people are shouts, "They're indestructible!" And Sean Connery justifiably just kind of says, "No, they're wearing body armor."
It was very obvious they were just wearing a lot of metal.
There was so much weird dialogue in this film.
Yeah, there was.
Indestructible!
No, just armor-plated.
So then Sean Connery goes back to London, where he's introduced to Captain Nemo, Mina Harker, and the Invisible Man. Mm-hmm. And they've all been gathered together by M.
Yes.
Who, are we to presume is M from the James Bond franchise?
Well, that's what I initially thought. Well, I didn't think that. I was like, oh, yeah, because he was James Bond and this is M. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, no, that was Moriarty. Yeah,
but was he? This is what confused me, because the spoiler alert, that character then turns out the big twist in this film, if there is one, is that M, the guy who brings them all together, is also the villainous Phantom of the Opera. I'm never clear if it's supposed to be the Phantom of the Opera. At one point, Sean Connery describes him as operatic. So
right, okay.
Yeah, and he's got the mask. Anyway, so M, the guy who brings them together, is also the Phantom of the Opera and also Moriarty.
Yes,
it's like a triple reveal over the course of the film. So I didn't know if it was M for Moriarty or it was James Bond's M is also the Phantom of the Opera and is also Moriarty, which is just so needlessly complicated.
So that means that James Bond is a character in this universe.
I guess.
Played by whom?
Well, he's not in the film, but that's the thing. There's so many weird little moments like that where they just unnecessarily throw in another like literary reference, but then don't go anywhere with it. Like they don't do anything with the fact that they've created these characters. Like there's another one where, again, at this part of the film, when Quatermain arrives and the random guy who recruits him says to him, "Oh, you got here ahead of schedule," and he says something like, "Not as fast as Phineas Fogg, around the world in 80 days."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, so is that going to be a character?" Nope, never mentioned again. Like there was just no need. Like, why?
You made good time getting here.
Not as good as Phileas Fogg. Around the world in 80 days.
So now we've got like a crew. We've got Invisible Man, Mina Harker, Captain Nemo, and Allan Quatermain, which I think is a decent enough crew for a film. That you can pack 90 minutes with them. But, oh no, we're not even halfway yet. Then they go to Dorian Gray's house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where they need to recruit Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray. He was the most annoying character in this.
Oh, 100%.
By a long way. He's so posh and shit and always wore the same suit. Even if the suit got torn and ripped to pieces, you'd have it back in half an hour.
Because he's invulnerable, and so are his suits, apparently.
Well, I guess.
He gets the worst dialogue in the film as well. I think he absolutely has the worst lines.
Yeah.
The best bit is when it turns out he's the traitor. And Ishmael is his one actual scene where he says, "That Skinner, the Invisible Man, must have betrayed us." And then Dorian Gray goes, "Not Skinner," pulls out his gun, "Me," and then shoots him. There is no actor in the world could make that dialogue work. It's so corny.
We could write better than that.
I think we could. This feels like something we could do on like an off episode. Like,
yeah.
We're both tired.
Mr. Gray, what happened?
Misadventure. Have the others returned?
You're the first. Hopefully not the last. That bastard Skinner. A lot to answer for.
Skinner? No. Me.
So then they go and recruit Dorian Gray, who is from the Oscar Wilde novel, the guy who never ages and has a portrait of himself that's always getting older. And also they walk into his house and the first thing anyone says, of course, is, "You have a portrait missing."
Yeah.
What?
It's very obvious as well. Just like hang something else there.
Yeah. There's just like there's like that thing where there's like a portrait has once been. Like, why do you not just put something else up?
But also I like that it's just on the stairway.
Yeah.
It's not in any sort of grand, like above a fireplace.
No,
Because in the main Dorian Gray film, I think it was above a fireplace.
Yeah, because it's the painting.
Yeah, it's like his life is that painting. And so that's where it was. And yeah.
It was so stupid. This film was so stupid. Like,
we should do Dorian Gray. Like I've got good memories of that film. So
yeah, I've not seen it, so we could.
Most films that I've got good memories of, it's great to revisit and just be like, oh yeah, that's not as good as I remember it at all, is it? Oh no.
But yeah, it was so stupid because it both didn't give the audience enough credit and it introduced characters that it assumed the audience should care about, but didn't think why they would. If that makes sense. Like, I don't think there was any demand for a film about Mina Harker, Allan Quatermain, and the Invisible Man in 2003. I don't think the world was crying out for it.
No.
It felt like the first half of this film was just a constant series of introductions.
Yeah.
Because there were so very many characters.
There were. And I think that this is something that did make an impact on the superhero film industry, because this came out at the same time as sort of the early X-Men films, and I've seen a few images of this being sold as a double set with Daredevil.
Yes.
Really.
There's a movie marathon.
I compare this to films like Avengers, films like Suicide Squad, and probably the upcoming Justice League as well. Big team-ups of superheroes. Now, the Avengers did it in a very different way to this film, where they did it with 5 films preceding it, which didn't all hit. They weren't all great, but some of them were. For example, Iron Man was great. And yeah, so that really helped because it meant you go into a film knowing who everybody is. This one couldn't do that unless it gave them all its own spin-off films first, which of course they're now trying to do with this dark universe from Universal. And this is how it just doesn't work. if you just try and throw loads of people into a film all at once with no backstory and you try and force it out, very similar to how Suicide Squad did, where they spent the first, I think, 45 minutes of their film just in a montage showing off all the different characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't work. You just can't build a film like that. You need to have more time getting to know each character before you can get into the meat of the story. And I think this film suffered from that.
I 100% agree. So then they get Dorian Gray, and then they're attacked again by random soldiers, and the Phantom comes in, and there's a shootout. For reasons unclear. And then Tom Sawyer turns up. And it's like, hi, I'm Special Agent Tom Sawyer. From the FBI, was it? From the American Special Secret Service?
I assumed that he was a made-up character for the film.
This is how stupid this film is. Tom Sawyer is a child in a book set in plantation-era America. So, when slavery was still a thing and stuff. And he's a child who goes on, I've not read them in years, but he's a child who goes on a series of adventures through, like, America, but very, like, down-to-earth, human-based adventures. And in this, he's like a 20-something man who's part of the FBI and shoots guns, who's called Tom Sawyer, and it makes no sense. There's no connection between the character and the character from the books, except the name. He's not in the Alan Moore books, like the comics. This is what I do know. I read up on this. They added him in because the studio decided that they didn't think, probably correctly, they didn't think people would care about all of these older English characters. They wanted like a young, hot American star to be in the film to make it more appealing to young audiences. So, well, let's just make it Tom Sawyer. They just literally, it seems like they just picked a notable American literary figure out of thin air, and were like, okay, it's Tom Sawyer. He's an FBI agent, and we'll make Shane West play him. Shane West was kind of a teen idol of sorts at the time. I mean, this kind of killed his film career a little bit. He's now back in TV. But yeah, and it's nothing to do with Tom Sawyer whatsoever, and consequently his character doesn't really make any sense. It's like, I'm Tom Sawyer of the American Special Forces. Okay, moving on.
And you are? Special Agent Sawyer of the American Secret Service.
Then America is aware of the situation.
Well, if war starts in Europe, how long is it going to take until it crosses the Atlantic? I followed you. I knocked out a straggler and I took his place.
Very noble.
Winchester.
That's right. It's modified. American style.
American style shooting, too.
Well, whatever it takes. You like it? I brought two.
You're in.
So now they've got Allan Quatermain, Mina Harker, Captain Nemo, The Invisible Man, Dorian Gray, and Tom Sawyer, all of whom have had their own individual introductions.
Just saying, we have actually pointed out it's called Leave Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
They're not all men.
They're not all men, no. And not all of them are that extraordinary.
No.
I kept thinking...
And not all of them are that gentlemanly.
No. Well, very much... I don't think many of them are, really. Yeah. It fails on pretty much every level.
Yeah.
So now we've got literally 6 characters who we've all had some kind of introduction to. It's like, surely now the plot is going to get moving. There's still more. Now we have to go and find Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, yeah.
Who is in Paris. I forgot they went to Paris. Okay, so that's another place they go to randomly. They just swing by Paris.
Yeah.
And somehow they just know where he is. They hunt him down, and then he joins the team. And then they go to Venice, which is... Can you remember why they were in Venice? What the reason for all of that was?
Were they not tracking M or something? Cause...
No, they still thought M was a good guy.
Oh, well, tracking the bad guy?
So apparently what happens is they're told that there's going to be a meeting of world leaders in Venice.
Right.
And the Phantom is planning to bomb the meeting.
Okay.
Kill all the world leaders.
They should tell the world leaders and then they'll just go somewhere else.
Yes. But you don't see, the reason this confused, the world leaders are never on screen. Not even as like background, you never see this. Like they go to Venice and it's like there's a carnival on, there's a party happening. But there's no sense of where the leaders are, what building they're in or what.
Yeah, that's true.
So then they get there just a bit too late and Venice gets blown up and then Venice is literally collapsing. And then they save the day by blowing up a specific... They'd have like a car chase. There's yet more soldiers appearing out of nowhere. And then they blow up a specific building. There's this exposition scene where it's like... They all have one line of like expositions like going around a circle. It's like duck, duck, goose. It's like, I know how we can fix this. Yes, let's blow up one building. And yes, that will stop the chain of dominoes. I'll take the car. Like...
There must be more than one bomb. Nemo! The bombs are at the city centre. We must take out one key building. Yes!
Get ahead of the collapse and destroy the next building.
We can interrupt the chain of destruction.
With a beacon placed for the exact coordinates, I could launch a rocket and take out the domino.
Well, that's ridiculous. We'd never get there in time.
There would be no room for error, but I tell you it could work.
What are you talking about? Gray's right.
I'm an immortal, sir, not a gazelle. How can we outrun this?
Care for a spin?
So they do that, and then seem to feel like they've saved the day, but Venice has pretty much been flattened. Like, huge amount of Venice has fallen apart.
Yeah.
Also, did you notice there is not a civilian to be seen? There are no, like, pedestrians in this universe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like, thousands of people, especially if they're not on the streets, like, half of Venice has collapsed. Thousands of people must be dead. But we do not see or hear any of this.
No.
Like, it's like an empty city. It's a model city. It's like not real. So then they somehow sort of semi-save Venice. We never know what happens to the world leaders. That just disappears. And then they find out that Dorian Gray has betrayed them. Well, they think the Invisible Man's betrayed them, but then Dorian Gray has betrayed them. And then he steals the escape pod, the explosion pod.
Yeah.
Then him and M leave a video message to the gang explaining their evil scheme.
I got the sense that they'd already recorded and sent that.
Yeah, okay.
Like before Dorian Gray had made his big move. So it was like done ages ago, and then it was just like, right, by this time, me, Dorian Gray, I will have already made my move on this, or else I'm screwed.
Yeah. But again, it's like, I don't understand why they're revealing their evil scheme, like, so specifically.
If you're hearing this, then every step leading up to it has gone as planned.
And I've been true to the goals set to me.
Yes, it's me, Dorian.
As you know by now, I'm no loyal son of the Empire. In fact, my loyalty to Mr. M comes in no small part from his possession of something I hold very dear to my heart. Something I would do anything to regain.
Everything so far has been misdirection. Sanderson Reed, the assassins in Kenya, your recruitment and mission, the secret conference, a myth. Even the League itself, there is no League. There never was. It was a ruse to get me closer to my goals.
He likes the sound of his own voice, doesn't he?
So Venice happens, then they find the evil headquarters of Phantom is in Mongolia. So they go to deepest Mongolia, break into the headquarters, they fight a bunch of bad guys, find out that M is also Moriarty, as well as being the Phantom. And then they fight. Oh, that was it. M's overall evil scheme was to distract, and this blew my mind. I couldn't make a head and a tail of this. So he set up the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He brought all these people together, sent them on a mission to stop himself from destroying all the world leaders and causing World War III, or World War One. Sorry. All of that was a distraction technique so that he could steal all of their special powers, because he steals the formula that Dr. Jekyll drinks. He steals Skinner's invisibility formula as well. He steals Mina Harker's blood. Unclear what he gets out of Allan Quatermain. Unclear what he gets out of Tom Sawyer. Whatever. So he sets them all up and sends them to Venice and gets them to stop him from blowing up Venice, purely so he can distract them, so he can steal their essences. Then he wants to use that to actually start chaos in the world. It's such a long game.
Yeah.
What was his end game there? I don't understand.
No, I don't understand either. Just to become powerful, I guess.
Yeah, it's never clear. But like, why would you even bring them all together? Why not, like, it's like divided we, united we stand, divided we fall. Why not hunt them down individually and just assassinate them, or get their, why bring them all together and make them a team and then
because it makes for a film.
Because it makes a film.
Team up.
I know, yeah. But it was, even in the annals of like plotting, it was silly. Anyway, so we're now at the end of the film. So they fight, and Dorian Gray gets killed by Mina Harker because he's the traitor. Allan Quatermain gets apparently killed, but he kills Moriarty in the process. And then, great. So the film ends. Then they all go back to Kenya, the survivors, to bury Allan Quatermain, and then they all walk away, united as a gang. And then a really broadly drawn witch doctor type comes on and does a dance, and then his grave gets struck by lightning. End of film, setting up a sequel where he gets resurrected as a zombie.
Must do, I guess. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I was waiting for like a Carrie moment, the end of Carrie, where like the hand comes out of the grave.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was like, so that was my attempt at making sense of the plot of this film. Is that how you understood it?
Well, that's helped me a lot. That's given me a lot more understanding than I had previously. So, thank you.
It took me 2 watches and a Wikipedia session to piece that together.
Yeah, I'm still not fully there on it.
No.
This film could do with a couple more watches to actually understand it, but I just don't want to.
But I don't think we missed it because we're not smart enough to understand the film. I think the film just is that incoherent. I read a review by Roger Ebert, who's a famous American critic, who said of the film, it feels like the script blew away and someone chased it down and grabbed a bunch of random pages, and that's what they shot, and that was the film.
What an analogy.
Yeah. And that is 100% my sense of what this film was. Like.
Wow. Okay, so should we get to some drinking games?
Yeah, sure. So, drink for terrible, terrible dialogue.
Well, yeah. That's a pretty solid one.
Yeah. There were so many bad lines. We've covered some of them. So, I've lost many friends. White and black. That's one, obviously. All the exposition in Venice, like I say, where they all just any scene where the entire crew is standing around shouting exposition at each other.
I would say drink and exposition.
Drink for exposition, yeah. Another one that got the Invisible Man. He goes through it in this film. Like I thought he was dead because at the end where he
burns alive.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
he's naked. Yeah. Let's forget he's got no protection.
Yeah.
He's naked, and we see him get set on fire to the point where we can see his outline is in flames. Like he must be like first degree burns, or what's the worst one?
Third degree burns.
Third degree, but he must be horribly disfigured.
Well, there's a bit afterwards where you see just like this burnt skin walking around.
Yeah,
and then 2 minutes later he's completely invisible again. And it's as though nothing happened. It's like, oh, that was all fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the line of like when he does get set ablaze, and then I think it's Tom Sawyer runs over to kind of try and help him, and he's like, Skinner, are you okay? And he says, and this may be the worst line of dialogue in a film full of terrible dialogue. He goes, "That'll teach me to play with matches."
God, we're set on fire.
Yeah, and he's just quipping.
Skinner. The last time I'll play with matches.
Also, when Allan Quatermain impales the guy, and then the British, and I saw this line going, and the British flag falls on top of him, and he goes, "Royal Britannia."
Oh God.
So yeah, just drink every time a line of dialogue makes you do what you just did. Just go, "Oh God."
Yeah.
Rule Britannia.
Okay, well, what do you think about drinking every time the submarine changes size?
Yes.
Because when you initially see it, it's massive. It's like the Titanic. It's bigger. I don't know. And then later in the film, it's like the size of a canal just goes through Venice.
Yeah, it's just randomly like floating along the very shallow, narrow canals of Venice. It's insane. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like. What happens to the people inside? Like, are they become tiny little people?
I don't know how submarines work, but I don't think that's it.
No, not even Nemo's submarine. Yeah, that was. I noticed that too. That was ludicrous. We've touched on this, but drink for really heavy-handed literary allusions.
Yeah.
So every time it mentions a character from literature, whether or not they ever appear in the film, half the time they don't. There's "Call me Ishmael."
This is my first mate.
Call me Ishmael, please.
There is, "Does Jack the Ripper live around here?"
Yeah.
This is the charming spot. Does Jack the Ripper live here?
There's like I said, there's "Around the World in 80 Days." It's mostly just Sean Connery just saying things like to fill time. Yeah, every time a literary character is referenced, whether or not they appear or not. Yeah. Seems operatic. Like, so many.
They've discovered these attacks are all the work of one man who calls himself the Phantom.
Very operatic. And what's in it for him?
This was such like a self-congratulatory wank fest for people who've read a few books. Like,
yeah.
It's not even clever about it. Like,
drink whenever bad guys appear from absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Do you notice that throughout some of the fight scenes where they just suddenly round every corner and there's been no build up towards it at all?
Yeah, they're just literally it's like, how did they get to Kenya? Wow. Or like in Venice, they're just like standing waiting to shoot them on the rooftops as if they knew they were going to cut. It's there's lots of goons appearing completely out of nowhere. I agree. Yeah, that would get you nice and drunk.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Drink whenever the editing makes it really obvious that Sean Connery is not doing his own stunts.
Yeah, that wasn't so good.
There was some choppy. Again, the Kenya scene when he's doing the hand-to-hand combat, it's ridiculous how much it's not him doing that.
Yeah, no good. That's all I've got.
Okay. Alternative readings?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to go first for this one? Or?
Sure, okay. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, a collection of random scenes from a film that once resembled A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, well, yeah, as I mentioned the Roger Ebert review, it's like, yeah, it's exactly that. It's like nothing hangs together.
No,
nothing makes any sense. Like,
no.
It's just random scenes that it's just a random little travelogue of, yeah. Yeah. I only had one this week, which was the League of Extraordinary Wigs.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to lead me on to some discussion of wigs in this movie. This was a wiggy movie.
As are most of the films.
Most of us we do, but this, yeah, and even the wigs couldn't really sustain my interest, unfortunately. But
no.
I did notice them and I did appreciate them as always. Did you have a particular favourite wig?
Dorian Gray, I think.
Dorian Gray. Yeah, that was a good one. I was taught. So yeah, there was Dorian Gray's wig, which was just long and black, and yeah, there was Sean Connery is always wearing a toupee, of course, standard. There was Mina Harker, whose hair extensions seemed to change length from scene to scene, which I found very distracting. Yeah, sometimes they're like down below her like hips, other times like just it's like a shoulder bob. It's very inconsistent. And the most distracting wig for me was Shane West's wig, the Tom Sawyer's wig, his blonde wig, because it was so strangely positioned on his head. It was like they tried to give him a sexy like the hair is flopping over the eye kind of look. It's like a blonde, kind of moppy kind of wig.
Yeah.
But the way they positioned it made it look like his centre parting was just hanging like just to the right of his right eyebrow. It was really bizarre placing, and I kept noticing his because I know what Shane Ward looks like. Not Shane Ward, it's Coronation Street. I know what Shane West looks like. I've seen him in other things. He's got short dark hair, and I kept seeing his actual hairline through the wig, and it was so distracting. It was constant. Every time he runs and like flicks it, it's like I can literally see your roots. Like, so, yeah. League of Extraordinary Wigs, because there was some truly extraordinary wigs in this movie. And yeah, they were all my alternative readings this week.
Yeah, great. We should go into some sequels then.
Yeah, I feel like it's your turn to go first.
Okay, well, mine I've called The Team of Brilliant Gents.
The Team of Brilliant Gents, okay.
Yeah.
This sounds like this film's non-union Mexican equivalent.
Well, maybe it is.
Well, to be fair, this film is this film's non-union Mexican equivalent.
So for this, I'm recasting everybody.
Is that a straight remake?
Not really, just another story with similar characters.
Okay, sure.
Probably a sequel.
Okay, cool.
So Allan Quatermain, I'm casting Ian McKellen.
Okay. Ooh, I wonder how Sean Connery would feel about that. Is he going to be playing it in the same way Sean Connery was playing it?
A little bit. I was just thinking, who's old and fun?
Yeah,
because this film I want it to be a fun film, because that's what this Extraordinary Gentleman didn't have, was any level of fun.
That's very true. This film felt like it took itself way too seriously. This film needed to be a comedy.
Yes,
and it wasn't.
Yeah,
and yeah, I agree. So this is just a more lighthearted version.
It's a comedy.
Okay, it's a broad comedy. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, Ian McKellen. I don't think he's got any of the kind of physicality that Sean Connery has, because Sean Connery is like...
not necessarily, but there's going to be other characters, so he's not going to be leading... There's going to be other big names, so it's not going to be just leaning on this one guy.
Oh, no, I don't mean... I mean, like, for it to be... Is he going to be more of like a sassy adventurer then? Right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that works.
I think I like that idea. Yeah, go on.
Casting a new character, Dracula.
Okay.
Patrick Stewart.
Good. Oh, because they have to be together.
Yeah, they're a good team up.
Yeah, he'd be a good Dracula.
He would. I reckon he'd have loads of fun with that role.
And he could do, like, because he's...
I'm also thinking who can be really fun and comedic. And
yeah, 100%.
I don't know if I've actually seen him in a comedy, other than, like, extras.
He's done, like, Family Guy and extras, yeah. But
Family Guy, of course, yeah.
But yeah, he does a lot of funny voice work.
Yeah, Family Guy and American Dad does them pretty well.
Yeah, but in terms of his, like, on-screen, I know what you mean. He must have done comedies on screen, but...
There's a couple of behind-the-scenes Star Trek stuff, but...
But he could be good because he's bald. He could do like the whole kind of Nosferatu look, because you get the Dracula with like the Widow's Peak, the famous like. But also, if you watch old black and white Dracula or vampire films, he's much more like, he's like bald with big ears. So he could do like the classic vampire look. So I like that.
Yeah, cool. I think that'd be pretty good.
I'm on board. Is he going to be doing a... Sorry to interrupt. Is he going to be doing a really like hammy Romanian accent, like I want to suck your blood?
Yeah.
Great, cool. But with Patrick Stewart's kind of delivery, I'm already sold.
Great. Okay, so I'm having an Invisible Man.
An Invisible Man, yeah.
An Invisible Man.
Okay, not the Invisible Man still for legal reasons. Okay, cool.
Played by Simon Pegg.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he's got the kind of charisma that whoever this other guy was didn't quite have.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Pegg could play that and could actually play that exact role in that exact film, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that's a good casting role. Unless you're using him elsewhere, which you may well do, I think it might be funny to have the Invisible Man played by Nick Frost.
Ah, well, Nick Frost was going to be Dr. Jekyll.
Okay.
And Mr. Hyde.
That also works. I just think it'd be really funny if you had like a really fat Invisible Man.
Okay.
Just because, like, obviously the thing with the Invisible Man.
Yeah, that would work, because then he gets to, like, I don't know, not bump into things. People could bump into him.
Yeah.
That they're a little bit further away from him than they actually are.
Yeah, exactly. Because the whole thing with the Invisible Man, his only good thing is that he can creep around and be very nimble because no one can see him. Whereas if you've got like a 20-stone Invisible Man who's like, going to find it harder to be, sneak around. I think that's quite funny. Because if you don't see him, you don't know that he's like really big.
Yeah.
And then like maybe like he knocks something over, but he's got his glasses or his face. It's like, so how did you knock that over when your face is there? It's like, well, my belly's like here. Like,
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, switch it around then. Mm-hmm. Simon Pegg as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, apart from just reuniting Pegg and Frost, was there any particular reason you thought?
Nah, just a good duo.
Okay. Because, I mean, obviously Nick Frost, because he is a big guy, I can see him, he would look good as a doctor. Mr. Hyde's the bad one, isn't he?
Yeah.
I can see him like hulking out, and that would look cool too. So both would work. But yeah, I like the idea of a fat Invisible Man more, so yeah.
Yeah, me too. So I think I should stick with Simon Pegg on that or go with someone else?
Yeah, I can see that. Well, Simon Pegg would play a good Jekyll because he's very mild-mannered. So it might actually be really funny as well if to then have him also play... I've never seen Simon Pegg play someone really like muscular and scary and intimidating. That's not who he does. He plays like the everyman.
Oh, he did it in Star Wars Force Awakens.
Did he?
Yeah, there's one guy who's really... you don't see his face at all.
Oh, is he... Which one did he play in Force Awakens?
That one that... Ray is selling just random things to, and he's giving her portions of stuff. That was Simon Pegg.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I like the idea of it being Simon Pegg because we know what he looks like, and I say he looks like he's very everyman. Like having him like with all the CGI put on him to make him like super ridiculous. Because the CGI on Mr. Hyde in this film was so ridiculous. Like that with Simon Pegg would be really funny. Like,
yeah. Okay, well, let's get into the story. So we start with the four of them. So it's basically just going to be these four. There's not going to be any other additions to the team unless. We do that.
You've cut out the only woman. Are there no women in this?
Not planned.
Oh, Harry.
What? I couldn't think of any interesting female characters.
Well, you are what's wrong with Hollywood these days, mister. Continue.
So we start with the four of them in Germany in the early 20th century, where they're hunting they're hunting Frankenstein's monsters.
Okay.
Dr. Frankenstein has a cunning plan to unleash this virus upon the world.
Okay.
Which will get the dead rising from the graves and the living joining the dead.
Okay.
Essentially, zombie outbreak.
Okay, so do we have a cast for Mr. Frankenstein? Dr. Frankenstein?
Dr. Frankenstein, I have one in mind, yeah.
Okay, cool. Is that to come, though? Were you building to that?
It's about to.
Okay.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, yeah, can see that.
Yeah.
It's good.
See him playing a little bit of a sort of crazy doctor type thing.
Mm-hmm. Is there going to be a Frankenstein's monster as well?
Not specifically a Frankenstein's monster. There's just sort of many.
So there's no specific, like your classic bolts through the neck, like lumbering kind of.
Probably not. I mean, well, there's one coming up that could be. So yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so they're having a battle trying to get their way into Frankenstein's castle somewhere in Germany. Mm-hmm. And so they finally get to Dr. Frankenstein, and he says, "You'll never stop me. You can't beat this. This virus will spread through Europe, across Asia, and down into Africa. The dead will rise from their tombs. The living will become dead men walking." He says that and then pulls a rope from the ceiling, which opens up one of the walls, revealing this massive monster. Maybe that's Frankenstein's monster.
Okay, cool.
Green guy, bolts through the neck and everything.
Who's playing him?
Who would you cast as a big green monster?
I'm thinking someone...
Without anybody who's played Hulk.
True. Well, yeah, my initial thought was like Channing Tatum. Like someone who is like really beefy and...
Yeah? Okay, yeah, Channing Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he's giant as well. So he's not just a normal sized monster.
He's quite large, Channing Tatum.
Yeah, is he as large as Mr. Hyde?
No, he's not, no. But
I'm thinking somebody who's like 4 meters high.
Oh, really? Okay.
There is no person who is 4 meters high, by the way.
I know.
So Channing Tatum will do.
Okay, fine. Maybe like Tom Hardy or something, I don't know.
Nah, it's good Channing Tatum. He's a funnier reveal.
Okay, fine, yeah. Yeah, cool. If it's a comedy, Channing Tatum's good. We know he can be funny. So.
Yeah, and then Dr. Frankenstein manages to get away. So, team fighting a monster, that's a distraction. Once they finish fighting the monster, which of course they beat with a bit of trouble, but it's a good way for us to sort of see what they can all do.
Mm-hmm.
Allan Quatermain says, "He's right. We can't stop this." It's not a good Ian McKellen, is it?
I think you should, even though it's Ian McKellen,
yeah,
I think anyone can do a Sean Connery.
So Ian McKellen doing a Sean... I'm doing Ian McKellen doing a Sean Connery.
Yeah, I want to hear Harry doing Ian McKellen doing Sean Connery. So maybe like do a Sean Connery, but make it a little bit camper.
All right.
I believe in you. You can do this.
He's right. We can't stop this.
More sibilant S's. He's right. We can't stop this. Lower down.
The virus is already out.
Why do you always do this? You always do the same nasal thing every accent you do. You default to this weird.
I've
kind
not
of
practiced. I've been busy.
Say shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, not stirred.
You're still doing it.
What other voices are there other than nasal? There's no other voices.
There are many other voices. Right, continue, carry on your story.
We have to stop him from leaving this and infecting America too. So the virus is essentially a zombie apocalypse.
Okay. So this has been released. So Dr. Frankenstein has released this virus.
Has released this virus in Germany.
In Germany, okay.
And it is now gonna go get all over Europe and probably connect to any land masses.
Okay.
So that's pretty much all of Asia and Africa.
Right. Okay.
Unless they can do anything to stop it.
Okay.
But what they do first is they want to stop him from getting anywhere else, i.e., America.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to they need to work out how he's going to travel to America and try and stop him on the way.
Mm-hmm.
They know that the only sort of shipping lanes between Europe and America go from Britain.
Right.
So that's what they do. They go to Britain. There's a bit of a montage of them battling their way through Germany and France with different German and French zombies. There will be a lot of stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of baguettes. Perhaps an accordion or two.
Yeah.
Maybe a few zombie mimes.
What about the Germans?
What do Germans have?
Bratwursts.
Pretzels,
bratwurst, yeah.
A pretzel fight.
The Lederhosen.
Oh yeah. Okay, so they eventually make their way into Britain, arriving into Southampton, which is the biggest international port in the world at the time. The people in Southampton are aware what's going on in mainland Europe, but the infection's not there yet. "We must have beat him here," says Dracula. Oh, that was not good.
"We must have beat him here."
"We must have beat him here. We have to stop him before he arrives and infects everyone."
I have no idea what you're doing.
No, me neither. Can we just drop this whole thing where I do impressions?
No, it's when you try, you're really good, but I think like you're not. For some reason today, you're not committing.
Oh,
sometimes you come in, you know what you're doing, and you
only once. I've only had that one impression.
Well, we've proven that you can do it though when you put your mind to it. Like,
anyway,
right.
So they set up a blockade stopping any ships from arriving in to try and stop Frankenstein from arriving and setting off this virus. Unfortunately, though, after a few days, they see a carriage arrive at the docks with Frankenstein getting out of it, so he must have arrived somewhere else and made his way over land to get there. And he immediately gets on this boat, this massive ship, which is going to head over to America. In the meantime, they all notice that the local cemetery has just burst open and there is an army of the dead coming towards them.
Right, okay.
So they have to fight off all that while Frankenstein makes his getaway on this boat.
Mm-hmm.
They have a big battle. They win.
Yeah, good.
And so they then need to make a dash for that ship. They need to catch that ship so that he doesn't get to America before them.
Mm-hmm.
They get on a smaller ship which can sail a bit faster and just manage to get there at the very, very last minute. They all jump on. Maybe one of them falls in the sea, but somebody swims out. A bit of action, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so then, an invisible man, who is Nick Frost, says, "Hey, what ship is this?" To which Dr. Jekyll said, "Oh, why? It's the Titanic, the unsinkable ship, the largest and grandest ship in the world, even larger than anything in Captain Nemo's fleet."
Oh, I like this, because that's another, even though it's a real person, it's like an actual reference, which I feel like this movie would do. Would if they could get away with it, they would use Titanic, so...
Yeah.
Cool.
So now it's a case of hunting down Frankenstein and stopping him from releasing his virus into America.
Okay.
They know he's on this ship, so it's just a case of finding him, which they do.
Okay.
They find him and immediately lock him in the brig.
Okay.
Just so he can't do anything. And then they just all go and have a drink.
Okay.
Go to a restaurant and maybe get a meal. Later that evening, when they're all having this relaxing meal, they hear a bit of commotion going downstairs.
What could be happening.
And so an invisible man and Dr. Jekyll, they both go downstairs, expecting to see, all the third-class Irish people just having a bit of a jig and, a lot of drunk Irish people.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they find a lot of drunk Irish zombies.
Oh, okay.
What would a drunk Irish zombie be like?
Probably a drunk Irish person, really.
There's not much difference, really, is there?
Drunk and undead, it's not really.
Nah.
So a little bit more.
They have a bit of a fight, but
is it like The Walking Dead where you have to just like stab zombies in the head to kill them, or like is it that kind of brutal, or like...
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's say that.
Okay.
So they have a bit of a fight, but it actually doesn't go that well, and they both get bitten.
Who's they? Sorry.
This is an invisible man.
An invisible man.
And Dr. Jekyll
and Dr.
Mr.
Okay.
Hyde.
So Allan Quatermain and Dracula are still safe.
They're still upstairs, drinking port or whatever.
Fair enough, cool, yeah.
Yeah, so they get back to the restaurant with just enough time to tell Allan Quatermain and Dracula before they both fall to the floor and then transform into zombies.
Right, okay. A little bit of a Shaun of the Dead moment there.
A little bit, yeah. So then, I'm just going to call him Alan now because I hate his surname. So then Alan and Dracula have to fight off an invisible zombie and a zombie Dr. Jekyll.
A naked invisible zombie, I like it.
Yeah. Which is obviously quite the challenge, one of them being invisible.
Yes.
And the other one being a massive monster already.
Yeah.
In zombie form. They managed to do it. Well, they managed to get away from them. They don't manage to beat them. So they managed to get away, and they see that the ship is half zombies already. Like there's nothing they can do, and so they say, "Well, this ship can't arrive in America. It'll wipe them out. We need to take it down somehow. Somehow."
Thank you. You're getting there.
You mean we need to sink the unsinkable ship? So that's what they do. Alan has several explosives in his bag. Quite conveniently.
So they sink the Titanic. It's not the iceberg at all.
No, there's no iceberg at all. They set these explosives down in the engine rooms next to the hull, set them all off immediately, and the ship starts to let in water and sink.
Oh, wow.
They manage to make it to the lifeboats, as do everybody else who is still alive, given that now half the population of this ship are zombies. There are enough lifeboats for everyone.
Oh, so this kind of vindicates all those selfish first-class people who didn't go back, because actually all those poor people were actually just zombies. Oh, that's convenient. Cool.
Yeah.
Is there any sign of Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet in this?
I mean, maybe there could be.
Just like a cameo, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a cameo.
Would they be zombies, presumably?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
zombie sex in a car?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like that. Like the hand goes up. And then
the hand goes up, but there's no arm connected to it.
Yeah. It just breaks off.
Yeah.
And is Dr. Frankenstein, is he still locked down in the brig? Is he like going down with the ship? Does he
presumably?
Okay.
We don't see.
Oh, okay. Is this setting up for a sequel, maybe?
Maybe. I'd like to leave things open.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're on a lifeboat with a fair few people as well.
So, unfortunately, Peg and Frost are just dead.
Yeah, they're gone.
Oh, that's a downer.
Yeah. They do notice at one point that the lifeboat is it's leaning to the side a bit.
Okay.
So there's a heavy weight.
A heavy invisible weight, yeah.
So nobody can see anything now.
Okay.
And then somebody gets bit.
Oh, okay.
Which is quite alarming. And then somebody else gets bit. To which Dracula then sort of runs towards this invisible weight. And Dracula, by the way, is immune to being bitten by zombies because Dracula is already an immortal vampire. If you didn't know what Dracula is.
I'm aware, yes.
And so he holds him down, and Alan asks, what shall we do with him? Can we fix him? Does anybody have any ideas? I might, says someone in the back. My name is Albert Einstein, but you can call me Albie. I think I can come up with a cure. And that's it.
Fantastic. Who is Albert Einstein?
Who would you cast as Albert Einstein?
I don't know. Who would you cast as like an Austrian genius? Christoph Waltz, maybe?
Christoph Waltz?
I think Einstein was Austrian. Maybe he was German, but Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, sure, Christoph Waltz can do it.
Yeah.
With like full white hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is a group of okay gents. What do they call it?
Yeah, a group of ordinary gentlemen, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
I like it. It's good. I like that you pared it down.
Yeah.
You don't need 8 leading characters. 4 will do.
Yeah.
4 will do. Kill 2 pretty early on. Yeah. No, I like it, and I like the idea that you brought in some more characters from like historical fiction, like Titanic and Albert Einstein. I think that's because that's in the spirit of these things. It's like little cameos by people. But,
yeah, definitely, and to do history a little bit better. Like Titanic didn't hit an iceberg.
Yeah,
it had a zombie outbreak and was taken out with explosives.
Yeah, because these films are supposed to exist in a world that's like ours but somewhat different. Like some things are the same, some things are different. So yeah, because I'm pretty sure Albert Einstein was not on the Titanic. So.
I would doubt it. Yeah.
But no, good, like it. Okay, so my turn. Cool. Okay. So I've done something a little bit different this week. I've not come up with one single idea because I was struggling a little bit. So instead, I've come up with 3 small ideas. Okay. So we'll just see, and maybe you can tell me which one you like the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one I had is called The League of Extraordinary Egos, and this is kind of a movie within a movie. Because one thing when watching this film, the film itself I didn't find terribly interesting, but I did find myself really wanting to see a movie about how this movie got made.
Okay.
Because it was such kind of a disaster, and there was obviously so much going on behind the scenes. So I'd like to see kind of the Disaster Artists just come out, or is coming out soon, which is about the James Franco and Seth Rogen doing a film about the making of The Room. I'm thinking something similar to that, where like a new cast of people. Either a new cast of people plays the characters who play the original characters in a film about the making of the film, or maybe it's like a behind-the-scenes mockumentary kind of style where a lot of the actors play themselves, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't decide. But anyway, so maybe some of the original cast would come back. But I feel like Sean Connery doesn't have a sense of humour about himself. I don't think he would come back and make fun of himself.
No, I don't think he would at all.
No, I think he has no sense of humour. So maybe if we did the mockumentary thing, you'd have to say like Sean Connery declined to participate in this documentary, which would in itself be kind of funny. If you were to do it as a people playing the parts of the character, actors playing the characters, just who would play Sean Connery?
It's really difficult. Like
he's such a unique character, isn't he?
He is.
I have 3 possibilities.
Okay.
My first one is Mike Myers.
Right.
He doesn't really have the physicality, but he does do a mean Scottish accent. Second one would be Pierce Brosnan, for obvious reasons.
Sure.
Just like nice little meta commentary.
Yeah.
I don't know what his accent works like, but give him a go. You know?
It's not great.
No, probably not.
In James Bond, he was still kind of Irish.
Yeah, but Irish is closer to Scottish, so it's not a million miles away.
True.
And the third one, just because I think he's got range, is Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah,
I can see that. Right. He'd do kind of a weird portrayal of him, but I think he could pull it off.
Has he done comedy before?
Michael Keaton. Well, Beetlejuice, you could say, is funny.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen Beetlejuice?
No.
On the list. It's got Winona Ryder in it. You'll love it. Yeah. So I think this film, maybe it starts with a pair of idealistic young screenwriters who hit on the idea of adapting Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comic novel series into a blockbuster movie. And so, as I mentioned, this is coming out the same year as like Daredevil. It's before Batman Begins. So it's at this time when the studios really have kind of lost the plot and they don't really know how to make these kind of films. So I think this film could be a commentary on that, like on like studio interference and how these 2 writers actually have a really good idea and they really believe in the material, but then the constant interference from moneymakers just makes it all go horribly off the rails. Yeah, and that's my overarching idea with this. So first of all, you have to get Alan Moore to sign off on it. Have you ever seen what Alan Moore looks like?
No.
Okay, so this gave me a lot of inspiration because one of the great geniuses of his field, like very, very talented man. He does look a bit like Saruman from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Mixed with somebody you'd struggle to get out of a conversation with in a Wetherspoons at 2 PM.
So me then.
Yes. No. You know, sometimes you go in like in the daytime with like a stag party or something, and there's always the crazy old man who's there every day with the big beard, and he's there every day and the stuff.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He's your future, but maybe. But yes, that.
There's no maybe in that.
Yeah. So yeah, Alan Moore does have that kind of wild kind of look about him, like wizard meets drunk old man shouting at a cloud. So yeah, so I think that'd be really funny if he was just playing a full blown crazy person.
Yeah.
So again, who would play like a good? He's like in his 60s as well, so who would play, or he would have been in his 50s when this came out. So who's good to play a crazy old man? Who gives good crazy beardy old man?
I don't know the actor's name, but Parks and Recreation, Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson? I can see that, yeah, that's good. Nick Offerman, that's his name.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, Nick Offerman would be good. I like that, yeah. I had a few options. Mine were Billy Connolly.
Okay, yeah.
Not sure if he's still acting, or he's still well enough, but in his peak, he definitely is very good at playing crazy old men. I can imagine him being like this kind of loud, really leery kind of crazy. Like him. Have you seen Muppet Treasure Island?
Yes.
Yeah. Or possibly Will Ferrell in like a full beard.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he'd be good.
He's good. Gives good crazy. So at some point they managed to get him on board, and they get a promising up and coming director signed on, but they need a big name to play the Allan Quatermain, to be the lead, and they decide it has to be Sean Connery, who is notoriously a grumpy old bastard. So he demands a massive salary, which, as we discussed, he got like 17 million and bankrupted the film essentially before it even started, and that leaves them with no money. So the rest of the film, then we just follow them. The rest of this film, we follow them shooting the film, like trying to make ends meet, padding the cast out with Z-listers, which can be a bunch of actors, like low-rent actors making fun of themselves. Again, maybe we'll get some Simon Pegg types, you know, like not that he's a Z-lister, but he could play like a washed-up kind of, you know, nobody kind of character. And then, as I say, we'll get lots of like studio interference with like bastardizing the plot while Sean Connery like just terrorizes the crew by not cooperating with anything, fighting with the director, refusing to reshoot any scenes, not doing his own stunts, just funny stuff. And then that's basically it. I just feel like this film would be a funny like behind the scenes version of the original film. So that's idea number one. Okay, idea number two is The League of Extraordinary Gentlewomen, because as we kind of touched on, there's not a great film for women.
No,
there's Mina Harker. She's the one female character in it, and she doesn't get loads to do.
No.
I feel like another thing is her powers were employed inconsistently.
Yeah.
Like, there's that one pretty cool scene in Venice when she turns into a huge flock of bats. It's like, why would you not do that all the time?
Yeah.
That's really useful.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Also, is she a vampire?
Yes.
She's in the sun a lot. Is that just not a thing for this vampire?
Okay, that rule seems to be optional with different vampire properties.
Maybe, yeah, okay.
Like, look at it in Twilight.
Do I have to? Fair. Okay, so this is very short. I've not really had a plot for this, but yeah, my idea is that maybe a version of this film, but just with women from literature instead. I'm open to ideas for who there would be. I don't want to go like really obvious ones like Wonder Woman. I want to go for like again, because this film didn't go for like, you know, Superman and Batman. It was more of a, you know, second string, like old literary kind of figures. So I got Hermione Granger, obviously.
Okay.
Elphaba from Wicked.
Okay.
There's essentially the Wicked Witch of the West, but you know, with a good version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matilda maybe. From Roald Dahl's Matilda, as we discussed last week. Maybe Lucy from the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, I don't remember which one she is.
She was the youngest pregnancy, the one who had the power. You could have Susan as well, but Lucy's like the one everyone likes. Like, she had
They're all really annoying. I hate
the
them
kids
all.
are annoying, yeah. But
yeah. Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Who else could we use? Like, just any female like comic book or action movie. Or...
I mean, it's female superheroes, but are you trying to go away from?
I'm trying to move away from the obvious stuff. Yeah.
Can't really name any B characters that actually have anything interesting about them.
Yeah, they're quite rare.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, that was all I had really. Just the same film but with women, basically, or maybe a slightly better version. But yeah, just maybe with one token guy instead of like a token woman. But yeah, so that was The League of Extraordinary Gentlewomen. And my third idea is my personal favourite, not to lead you in any particular direction when you choose which one you want to make. So this one is called The League of Gentlemen, Remedial Literary Studies.
Okay.
And that title is because this is actually The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as an episode of Community.
Oh, okay.
So you know every episode of Community has the title of like some kind of class that they're supposed to be taking.
Yeah.
And again, I've not really fleshed this out. I've not got a story, but I feel like this could really work as an episode of Community. You know, one of those very special episodes when they kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons episode, the puppet episode, the paintballing episode. Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those where they all have to take on a certain role, and so I thought that would be really fun. So I was thinking who would play whom in these situations. It was the same characters, so it's still all the same characters. So I've got my ideas, but I'm going to ask you first, and then we'll see if we agree. So as the Sean Connery, Allan Quatermain,
I'm gonna say Jeff.
Jeff, yeah. I went with Jeff. It's a no-brainer. He's the leader of the gang. You know, he's grumpy.
Well, I was thinking that, but then when they did Star Wars that time, he wasn't Han Solo.
True. He wasn't. Yeah.
Abed can be a good leader.
He can. I don't think of him as a Sean Connery type, though. I don't know.
No.
You need someone who can be like that grouchy kind of. I don't really want to be here, but I'm too cool for school. But I'm kind of a hero, kind of. You know. So yeah, Jeff as Quatermain. I think I can see him as well in like the outfit, like you know. As Mina Harker.
Annie.
Yeah, it's got to be Annie. There's no question, really. It's got to be Annie. Like, she can totally do that. Tom Sawyer.
Troy.
Yeah, same Troy.
Yeah.
A lot of these are kind of they're easy. You know, he's the plucky young, you know, handsome young guy who's, you know, heroic. Jekyll and Hyde.
Am I allowed to cast two people here or just one?
I've cast one, but by all means go with two if you want to.
Okay, well, definitely Pierce as Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
I mean, how many characters are there? Are there the same amount of characters as there are Community characters?
I've managed to make it the whole gang and the Dean.
Pierce then.
Pierce is Jekyll and Hyde. Okay, cool. I've put Pierce as someone else. My Jekyll and Hyde is Shirley.
Ah, yeah, she would be better.
Because she's like super nicey, but then she also has like rage issues. Like she
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I thought that'd be really funny because she does like she's got those very much two sides to her personality.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, oh, that's nice, and then she becomes Invisible Man or an Invisible Man.
Yeah, but
no. Well, okay. Why justify?
I just think that he'd play it well. I don't know. Actually,
he would be good,
but then he wouldn't really have an on-screen presence.
Yeah.
The Dean, because the Dean's got best sort of scripting and actual voice.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So.
I can see that. Yeah. I went with Britta.
Okay.
Just because the Invisible Man's kind of not very useful. I feel like it'd be a good Britta. Like she's totally Britta being the Invisible Man. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. Captain Nemo.
Bad.
Yeah, that's what and this isn't a race thing. It's not because he's of Indian.
No, not
heritage.
at all.
It's again because he's very kind of zen and calm and like. You know, he's like, I choose a different path, but he's also kind of a badass. So I think Abed would be really good at that. And then as M/the Phantom / Moriarty.
Oh yeah, it's got to be the Dean.
Oh no, this is where I put Piers.
Nah. Oh, you're better at this than me.
I just think that like he's not been allowed into the group, so he decided to go all super evil.
Nah, I think it's the Dean. I'm stuck on the Dean.
Okay, no, that's workable. I put the Dean as Dorian Gray, but again, that was kind of just because I don't have characters for people to be, and I can't really imagine Piers as Dorian Gray.
Yeah, and I've still got Shirley to place.
Yeah. Shirley could be M.
Shirley could be M.
She'd just bring the group together. She's like the mother hen, so I can see that, yeah.
Dean makes a good Dorian Gray. Any others? Or is
That's basically the cast.
Cool. That could work really well.
I think that'd be pretty funny. So.
You have all the side characters as well.
Yeah, of course. We're going to have Starburns has got to play a role at some point.
Yeah.
And probably get killed in some horrible way.
Pretty standard.
Yeah.
Do any of them have names? Remind me.
What?
Your three ideas.
Oh, so there is the League of Extraordinary Egos.
Mm-hmm.
There is the League of Extraordinary Gentlewomen and Remedial Literary Studies.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty good.
Yeah. What would you choose out of those three?
The third one.
I thought you might, yeah. So Community, essentially.
Definitely, yeah.
Cool. Okay, good stuff. I will send it to Dan Harmon. See.
Oh, yeah.
That reunion episode. We'll get it made. Good work.
Could be the film they finally do.
Yeah, exactly. Six seasons of the movie. This could be the movie. Could be the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's brilliant. Could really work. Not to toot my own horn, but that is genius.
All right, let's get on to
list of submissions. Okay, cool. So yeah, we had a few this week. So We Watch Anything at We Watch Anything says this is a very pointed, political, timely one. They've gone with a total remake set in modern day Hollywood. Because the film is called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, obviously. Mm-hmm. So they just want to see a remake in which a bunch of powerful producers fail to sexually assault anyone and treat women really well. Because that would make them extraordinary gentlemen.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Very pointed, yeah. At one Aussie Nerd, he didn't give us a title, but he just suggested it be remade as a cop show, presumably with the same cast. Which I think would be kind of cool.
Okay, yeah.
So those characters played by those actors, but it's like a cop show. So you can have it like as a serious cop show. So I guess they're all on the force. So Sean Connery is like the grumpy chief of police. Sean Connery is the grumpy chief of police.
Yeah.
And then maybe, Shane West is like the young up and coming, officer. Yeah. And you've got Mina Harker as the token female cop, I guess, unfortunately. Yeah. So, and so on and so on. I think I can see that working. Or you could do it as a comedy, like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine style kind of cop show. I think either would work.
Yeah, that fit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh No Lit Class at Oh No Lit Class Pod. They've just said one word recast. So their idea is in the role of Dorian Gray, they chose Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
In the role of Captain Nemo, they decided Oscar Isaac. In the role of Mina Harker, Oscar Isaac. In the role of just spotting a theme here. So
I can see where they're going with this.
Yeah, so it's basically a one-man show, just Oscar Isaac playing all the roles.
Okay.
I think he could do it. He's very versatile. He's an extremely versatile actor. So. One good thing at OGT Pod, they just suggest that we cut straight to the very last Alan Moore book and adapt that, in which Mina Harker has to do battle with Harry Potter, who turns out to be the Antichrist. So, sure. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And Blokebusters, who inflicted this film on us, so thank you. They've sent us a lengthy answer. So, in their sequel, which again, no title. Come on, guys. In this sequel, the League has continued in real time since the first film. So now it's 1914, approximately 15 years later. So would match with the time between the film being released in 2003 and now. The actors would be of the age. So it's 1914, it's 13 or 14 years later. And the rumblings of war are starting again. And Sawyer gets together with Nemo and Skinner to find Hyde, who's been missing since the events of the first film, apparently. Yeah. And they try and catch him, but he easily outsmarts them, which surprises Sawyer. When they do catch up, though, they find that he's actually hiding in seclusion with Quatermain. They've gone into kind of hiding together. And Quatermain, who was resurrected just after the events of the first film, as it kind of heavily signposted. But he no longer feels like he's part of the new century. He just wants to... Clearly he can't die because Africa is... the African people have given him eternal life, it seems. But he just doesn't feel like he belongs in the modern world, so he just wants to hide away and not be part of it. So they attempt to enlist him to stop this oncoming war, but he declines. He feels like the war is inevitable. However, in this version, it's not just the regular World War I. In this version, the Germans are amassing an army of undead zombies and vampires, an army of the undead. And the League needs to find out how to stop them. And Quatermain still refuses to help at first, but he's talked around by Hyde eventually when the League leaves. And we then find out that the reason the Germans have an army of the undead is that they've made a deal with Dracula for control of Northern Europe. So the League plus Quatermain and Hyde join up to fight them. It takes 3 years for them to locate Dracula, which I guess takes them nicely into the war. They find him in a small town and they force him to negotiate, and they organise a ceasefire, although this was only as a distraction so that Mina Harker could sacrifice her own vampiric abilities by staking and setting fire to Dracula. Because he sired her, maybe in this kind of version of vampire lore, if she kills him, she loses her own powers.
Yeah, I guess. What's human again, I guess?
She'll have a human or she'll die, I'm not sure. This kills the undead. They all because he's like the one who's risen them. I guess when he dies, they all die. And the vampires turn back to humans, and the League retreats back into the shadows, leaving the Allied forces to win the war. And Quatermain accepts an offer to become the new M, and Mina finally kisses Sawyer. Okay. And and there we go.
Lovely.
So I mean, that's interesting. Like much like Wonder Woman, it's like a World War I kind of scenario, like an alternate version of World War I, which is cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And the last one, which is my personal favourite, very popular on Twitter, this one, Dadzonecast, at Dadzonecast, just said, how about a prequel that completely resets the universe so this trash fire of a movie never happened? Burn.
Yeah.
And so that's it. Thanks, guys. As always, really good stuff. Much appreciated. So if you have a sequel idea you'd like to see for The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or if you have any ideas for films we've done in the past, or there's any films you'd like to hear us do in the future, please get in touch with us. We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, Google Play, Podbean, or most good podcasting platforms. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Google+, all those places, all the good social media networks. We'd love to hear from you. Please do let us know. And if you like what we do, hit subscribe for a new episode every Friday morning. And if you really like what we do, leave us a review, because it really helps us to find new listeners, and we really appreciate it, and it makes us feel good.
Yeah, that'd be very great.
Yep. So what's next week, Harry?
Well, next week we have another guest.
Wow, our cup floweth over lately.
Yeah, I know. We need to go back to normal.
Yeah.
Luckily, though, he's picked a good film.
Okay, cool.
Or so I've heard. I've not seen it, so we'll see. The guest is my brother Sam.
Oh, okay. Never heard of him.
Who I finally got on this podcast after months and weeks of saying, come on, please.
See, it's that needy quality.
Yeah.
He's actually like, wait, he wants us more than we want him. Clearly not true, but to make him feel that way.
Well, it's worked, and next week he'll be on. He'll be doing With Nail and I.
Oh, fabulous. Have you never seen it?
Nope.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to discussing it.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting.
Great. So tune in next week, everyone, for With Nell and I. And as always, get your sequel ideas ready. We will read them out.
Yep. Fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Right.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.